Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is an update to my Summon Reapers of Revenant builds for 3.29. I have changed from the Ascendant class to the Luminary class. This class allows us to hire a permanent mercenary, similar to how we used to do it in the Mercenary League. However, this time around, we cannot equip the infamous Doriani prototype on our Merc, so we will have to wear it ourselves. And this is just a start of an entire string of problems that I'm trying to solve with the Luminary class. And the first issue is the Merc, so let's tackle that. I've tried many different mercs and I've narrowed it down to just 3. The first merc that we are going to be discussing is the infamous War Priest. So this infamous War Priest, I've tried this merc because of the Smite ability. So if you guys do not know, the Smite ability allows us to have additional lightning damage, so it will give additional damage to our minions. Clearing in maps was slow and boss DPS was just lackluster. So even though he has a lot of other perks like the Holy Relic, which can give us life regeneration to our minions, he casts it once in a while, but I don't really notice it. And the Holy Flame of Elementals, I really do not know how it benefits us. And Dominating Blow, I think he casts like very rarely. So overall, the experience was simply just bad. So I do not recommend the War Priest. The next merc that I actually tried out was the Thunder Quiver Mercenary. So this is quite similar to the Many Shot merc that everyone is using. I have decked this merc out with top end gear just to give it a try. She provides the Wrath Aura, which gives us added lightning damage. She also provides Precision, which gives us the additional critical strike chance. And she also provides the Assassin's Mark Curse, which is the curse that we have been using. And I've tried this merc out for quite a while, but she is, although she is quite decent in mapping, so if you're doing regular out and go map, she's actually pretty good. She clears pretty well. But when it comes to juice mapping, she dies quite easily. And when it comes to bossing, she is a bit mediocre. So I end up dropping this merc and I use the third one instead. So the third and final merc that I ended up using is actually the infamous Fallen Revenant. So if you take a look at this merc, it gives us the Wrath Aura, which gives us additional lightning damage. He also casts Absolution, and together with Raise Spectre, that will give us a lot more minions. And let's take a closer look at the gear that I'm using. So I'm using this body armor, and this body armor gives us a total of plus 50 to our aura effect if you take a look at the implicits, together with the amulet, which gives us an additional plus 14 due to the Anoint of Influence. So this will already give us a total of 64%. And then if you take a look at the talent that I've chosen, I actually added the Bestowed Knighthood, which gives us a total of plus 50% increased effect of non-curse aura from skills. So that means, I think if I did the math right, we have an additional 114% increased effect of our Wrath aura. So essentially we doubled the effect of our Wrath. Since we are on the topic of ascendancy, I have pathed through the Loyal Bodyguard talent, and this talent actually gives us the 20% of damage from hits diverted to our mercenary life, so this will give us additional defenses. And I only chose to allow my merc to equip just a few uniques, so he can only equip unique amulets and unique weapons. So let's take a look at the inventory. The uniques that he have equipped is the Dark Seer Shadow Scepter. So this scepter allows us to blind enemies on hit, and enemies that we blind are suffering from malediction. And if you guys do not know what malediction is, it causes the enemies to take more damage and deal less damage as well. So it's a good mix of attack and defenses. And I'm going to pair it with the Bitter Bind Point unique shield. So this is a typical Spectre shield that most Spectre builds are using. So this gives the merc additional maximum number of summon Spectres, so you can summon more Spectres. And if you read the last line, for every raised Spectre, we have 100% increase in spell critical chance. And since I think Absolution is a spell, so this gives us a lot of critical strike chance. And most important is the unique amulet over here, which is the Perquail's Toe. So this gives us nearby allies damage with hits is lucky, and since our minion is doing 100% lightning damage, and lightning damage has a huge and wide range, so if we can allow the lightning damage to be lucky, this will increase our damage all the way up to the sky. Finally, let's take a look at the rest of his gear. So since this merc can only equip armor and energy shield pieces, so we have a helm that looks like this, which increases its defenses. We also have boots like this, and we also have a belt like this, which just gives us a lot of life and a lot of resistances. Let's move on to something a little bit more interesting, which is the expensive gloves that you see here. This one can give us additional critical strike chance against shock enemies. More on that later. And it also gives us additional elemental damage once we dealt a critical strike recently. Maybe the more important line is the implicit over there, which gives us a 25% chance to unnerve enemies. And if you guys do not know what unnerve means, it means that every time we hit something, it takes more spell damage. Okay, so we're going to pair these gloves with a couple of rings. So this rings, if you take a look at it closely, it curses enemies with conductivity. So what conductivity does is that it causes the enemies to get shocked more often. And once we shock our enemies, we are going to do more lightning damage because there's a line in the ring that gives us additional lightning damage against shocked enemies. So we have another ring that looks very similar. This gives us additional lightning damage against shocked enemies. So this will help our Merc's damaging capabilities, and it also helps us clear a little bit better. Next, let's move on to the gear of my main character. So this is still a Doriani's prototype build. So if you guys want to check out my previous video as to how I geared my character, please do so. I'm only going to cover the additional changes for this new updated version. Alright, so when it comes to the rings, I'm using the same thing. When it comes to the boots, the mage blood, and the gloves, all of these are the same. Okay, so what are the changes? So let's talk about the biggest change of them all, which is the inclusion of this new Archdemon crown. So feast your eyes on this super duper expensive helm, which is very difficult to craft and is really very expensive. So if you look at all the juicy details, this is a triple elevated helm, which gives us increased area of effect. It gives us level 25 minion damage, level 25 hypothermia, although come to think of it, I do not know whether hypothermia matters or not, but who cares. It also gives us additional 50% physical damage as extra lightning damage, and since our minions are doing lightning damage, this will give us a lot of damage. It also gives us socketed spells have +4 to critical strike chance, and since our Summon Reapers is a spell, so this will affect the Reaper's critical strike chance, and the kicker is the +2 level to all minion skill gems. And if you take a look at the total level of my skill gem, it is actually level 29. Not really the highest. I think the highest I went was maybe 31 or 32. So level 29 is quite a step down. So we are going to try to find ways to increase the damage with this slightly lower level in skill gems. And how do we make up for our lost damage because of this decrease in gem skill level? We are going to pair our Archdemon helm with this new unique ring that came out this league. So if we take a look at the last two lines, it says that the skill socketed in our helmet is supported by level 20 elemental focus and also level 20 elemental damage with attacks. So this ring has a lot of variation, so you guys got to scroll through trade to see which one is the best combination. I think this is by far right up there with the rest. So this will give us additional 2 support links to our Summon Reapers. So in total, I think we are still a 10 link Summon Reaper skill. This is probably 1 link short from our previous mirrored weapon, but still the damage is actually really high. And why do I say it's really high? Because if we take a look at the gems that I paired this skill with, I'm using increased critical strike chance, so I'm leaning towards critical strikes. I believe my Summon Reapers have northwards of maybe 80-90% critical strike chance. And then I'm going to pair this with increased critical damage, of course, because once you're critting very often, you need the critical strike multiplier. So later when I talk about the passive tree, I've changed some gems around, so stay tuned for that. And lastly, I pair it with greater multi-strike. So this will give us more attack speed. And in case you're wondering, where is the Congregation support and the Empower support? Unfortunately, this Archdemon helmet has a very big downside, which is the -2 level to socketed support gems. So if I were to use this too, the decrease in level would be huge. Okay, we are going to only have an additional 1 Reaper, and because of the decrease in levels, our Awakened support will only end up increasing by, let me check, it will only increase by +2 levels, which if it's increased by +2 level, this is already given by the helm because of the +2 levels to all minion skill gems. And trust me guys, even without the Congregation and Empower support, even if we are summoning the bare minimum of only 5 Summon Reapers, we have more than double or 2.5 times the original version of this build. And to round it off, I'm using the unique shield, Svalin, which will give us chance to block is lucky. And since we're on the topic of block, I'm going to make several changes to the passive tree. So I'm utilizing several Megalomaniac this time. So the traits that I'm focusing on is increasing chances to block attack, block spell, chaos resistances, and maximum chaos resistances. So I have one that looks like this, so take a look. You can actually refer to the POE for more details as to what kind of Megalomaniac I'm using. So I have one over here, and I have one over here with traits like this. So this will give us extra block to attack, block spell, and also chaos resistances. And if you're wondering why I ended up all the way on this side of the tree, that's because I reorientated myself a little bit. I'm no longer on this side of the tree. I actually chose to path this way upwards so that I can take Law of the Dead. And I went up and I went to the right. Okay, so this is the changes I've made to the passive tree. Last but certainly not least, I am moving away from the Adorn setup. So because we are going crit this time around, we are going to benefit greatly from critical strike multiplier. So that is why I've taken additional notes like this. And I also chose to substitute the Adorn with the Grand Spectrum Cobalt Jewel. So if you take a look at this jewel, I have additional critical strike multiplier per Grand Spectrum, and you need a maximum of 3 of them. So I have one over here, I have one over here, and I have one all the way down here over there. Whew! Thanks for listening, guys, to my long continuous rant on underwhelming minions. It took so much effort to iron out the kings just to make the Luminary version deal more damage while still maintaining a high level of defenses. If you ask me personally, I would still prefer the Ascendant one because I think it is relatively quote-unquote easier to put together than this current version. The Archdemon helmet is just way too much of a hassle to construct. And just a reminder, the Archdemon helm is available for mirror service, so feel free to contact me about it. Thanks so much for listening to the end. Like and subscribe for more content, and please let me know what other builds you would like me to do in the comment sections below. Till next time, bye bye!
Explosive rapture. I was not myself.